themselves, and our men could pour through the breaches. The sack of the city went on for many more days, for it was spread on both banks of the river. However, our victorious troops were at last able to apprehend Hamoudi, where he and his family were found cowering in their hiding place deep in the dungeons beneath his palace. It was most fortuitous that they were sitting on a vast treasure of silver and gold bars, as well as innumerable large chests of jewellery that had taken him and his predecessors almost a century to collect from the enslaved Egyptian populace. This brood of royal rogues and rascals was escorted down to the harbour on the Nile by Eurotas troops, where, to the accompaniment of music and laughter, they were drowned, one after another, beginning with the youngest members of the family. These were a pair of twin girls of about 2 or 3 years of age. Contrary to what I had come to expect of the tribe, they were not really repulsive to look at. In fact, they were pretty little mites. Their father, Hamoudi, wept as they were plunged into the Nile and held beneath the surface of the river. I was not prepared for that either. Somehow, I had come to believe that, like all the brute animals, the Hyksos were incapable of loving and grieving. The dreaded Hamoudi himself was reserved for last on the execution roster. When his turn came, he was accorded a more elaborate departure from this world than the others of his family. This began with skinning him alive, using knives that were heated to a glowing red in charcoal braziers, followed by drawing and quartering, which evoked further merriment from the spectators. It seemed that Eurotas men have a particularly robust sense of humour. I managed to maintain a neutral countenance during these proceedings. I would have much preferred to have taken no part in them, but had I absented myself, it would have been seen as a display of weakness by my men. Appearances are vital, and reputations ephemeral. Eurotas, we and I were subdued on our return to the Memphis palace. However, we soon became our usual cheerful and lively selves when we began counting and cataloguing the contents of the cellars beneath the palace of Hamoudi. I find it truly remarkable how, when all else in life has lost its flavour, gold alone retains its full fascination and appeal. Even though we had 50 of Eurotas' most trusted men to assist us, it took us several days to lay out all of this treasure. When at last we turned our lanterns upon this mass of precious metal and coloured stones, the reflected light was strong enough to dazzle us. We stared at it in awe and astonishment. "Do you recall the Cretan treasure we captured at the fortress of Tamiat?" Eurotas asked me in hushed tones. "When you were still a young captain of legionaries, and your name was Zaras, I will never forget it. I thought that there was not that much silver and gold in the whole wide world. That was not even 1/10 part of what we have here and now," Eurotas pointed out. "This is just as well," I replied. Both Eurotas and we looked at me askance. "How is that, Taita?" "That is because we have to share it at least 4 ways," I explained. And when they were still uncomprehending, I went on, "You and we, me, and Atarik Turo." "You don't mean Atarik, that utter prick, do you?" Eurotas looked aghast. "Exactly," I confirmed. "Atarik the Great, the Pharaoh of Egypt. This treasure was originally stolen from his ancestors." They considered what I had said in silence for a while, and then Eurotas asked me tactfully, "So then it seems that you intend to remain in Atarik Turo's realm?" "Naturally." I was taken aback by the question. "I am an Egyptian nobleman. I possess vast estates in this country. Where else would I go?" "Do you trust him?" "Who?" "Atarik the utter prick, who else?" Eurotas demanded of me. "He is my Pharaoh. Of course I trust him." "Where was your Pharaoh at the Battle of Luxor?" Eurotas added remorselessly. "Where was he when we stormed these battlements of Memphis?" Poor Atarik is not a warrior. He is a gentle